Now, Sloane Stephens has landed the women's singles crown at the year's last slam. The course of the men's singles championship will be decided tonight. Now, world number 1 and 2-time US Open winner Rafael Nadal takes on first-time major finalist and 28th seed Kevin Anderson, who is looking, and Nadal is looking to win his 16th Grand Slam title and his second of 2017. Can the South African giant slay the proverbial giant at Flushing Meadows? Enrico Piperno, let's set this one up then. You know, what stares you in the face when you look at this package and when you look at the two men who are going head-to-head for the year's final Grand Slam crown is that 2017 has been the year of the comebacks. Go back, rewind a year to 2016, the US Open final, and none of these two men would have even thought that they could be in the final of the US Open a year down the line.
Yes, again, another fairy tale, Diggy. Kevin Anderson coming through so many injuries, ranking dropped. He was a top 10 player. He dropped down to 88. He's the lowest ranked seeded in the draw here at 32. So that means he was definitely getting better as the year progressed. And Rafael Nadal, for all that he went through last year, to come back and be so strong this year, having reached the final of the Australian Open, winning the French, and reaching the final of the US Open is incredible. So yes, it's a great matchup. And if you talk about matchups, no better matchup. A great big server with a big ground strokes and a guy who's very, very solid from the baseline, Rafael Nadal.
Yes, so we'll get to, breaking this match just in a bit from now. But I just want to quote something which Nadal said going into this final. And he said that, what is more important for me is that more than winning slams is to be happy. I'm happy if I'm healthy. In that sense, it's been a remarkable run from him. He came back after that break when he had that troublesome wrist injury. He reached the finals at the Australian Open, lost to Federer there in 5, lost 2 more finals and then hit the clay court season. And after that, he's won every final that he's gotten into. That remarkable 10 title at the French. There was also titles at Monte Carlo, Barcelona and Madrid. And we could be forgiven in a sense for saying that this is his final to lose. Yes,
see, Rafael Nadal is probably an enigma. He's in the era of Roger Federer. He is playing for his 16th Grand Slam. So he's really just about 3 or 4 behind Roger Federer. And we keep saying that Roger is the greatest player that ever played the game. But in an era where he's probably outmatched Federer in a head-to-head and beaten him more often than he's lost to him, he's one of those incredible athletes, And like you said, a real simple guy. His comments about just being happy, being healthy is so important because that tells you the sort of person he is. He's not out there blowing his trumpet and talking big or being a lot of bravado. Just a simple thought. Let me be happy. Let me be healthy. And let me try and play this game at the best possible way I can actually go out and play it and give the fans and the spectators something to enjoy.
But isn't that how sport is supposed to be? It's about being happy and being healthy. But Rico, talking a bit more about Nadal, if he goes on and wins this tonight, that one word which comes to your mind when you talk about Nadal is gutsy. This is also probably going to be the first time that Nadal's actually gone on and won a Grand Slam if he wins. After losing a set in 3 matches in a Grand Slam, he lost a set to Daniel, then lost to Leonardo Mayer in the opening rounds, and then that set he lost to Del Potro before coming back to absolutely blank him.
Yes, I think he steadily got better as the tournament progressed. The first couple of matches you watched him play, you didn't feel, you felt his ground strokes were falling on the service line. They were not going as deep as he normally keeps them. His serve again was a little iffy. His second serve was being attacked. That's why he was losing sets because he was losing his service games. But then all of a sudden, as he progressed, and I think that match against Rublev, where he started really serving the way he was serving during the French. And that's what I noticed at the French. He was winning a lot more free points on his first serve. And that seemed to have improved suddenly. And when that happens and Nadal can hold serve comfortably, then God help you, because he's going to have a chance of breaking you every time you're going to serve, because he's got such an incredible return of serve.
Yes, and also let's just reflect on Kevin Anderson. This just shouldn't be about Rafael Nadal. There are 2 men who are in this final. I just noted down some stuff, Rico. And this man in the last 2 years, he's been troubled by his hip, by his leg, by a right elbow injury. Last year, it was ankle surgery, a groin problem, a left knee problem and a right shoulder complaint. He spent more time perhaps on the physio table than on the tennis courts. You know, these two men, when they look at it, they probably had no business being here, but they've seized the moment. And in a Grand Slam, it comes down to that. How you seize the moment, how you approach a Grand Slam and how you peak at the end.
You're absolutely right. I'm not sure if Nadal should not be there. Nadal definitely should be there, the #1 player in the world. But like you said, Kevin Anderson has had everything possibly can go wrong with someone in his body went wrong with him. But he's been an amazingly tough guy. He's come back strong. And this is a big chance, Diggy. Let me tell you why. Because the center court at Arthur Ashe is one of the fastest hard courts in the world. And that completely suits his game. He's going to be able to serve big. He's got big ground strokes. And he's a very, very aggressive sort of guy on the tennis court. And I think this is the perfect surface for him to, if he has any chance to beat Nadal, it'll be tonight.
Rico, you know, not just is he up against Nadal, but he's also up against history. You don't have too many South Africans winning Grand Slams in tennis. Yes, you have the odd result in golf, where you have the likes of Charles Schwartzel and before him Ernie Els. But when you look back at history, the last South African in a slam final was Kevin Curran. This is before he played that great match against Becker in '85. Then he was a naturalized American. Before that in '84, when he reached the final, he was there. So Anderson is also up against history and also perhaps one of the greatest men's tennis player of all time.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact remains is that South Africans have always produced fine tennis players, both men and women, especially the men. People like Johan Kriek, Wayne Ferreira, all top 10, top 20 players in the world. Kevin Curran, like you mentioned earlier. So a lot of very good South Africans have come through the tennis fraternity, but not good enough to win a Grand Slam. So here is an amazing opportunity for Kevin Anderson to make history tonight. And like I said, there's no better surface for him, I believe, than this fast hard court at Arthur Ashe. So he set himself up. If Nadal should have a bit of a shaky sort of day and not playing as well as he can, then Kevin Anderson definitely has a shot.
Yes, since you have brought it up, I'm going to ask you to put your coach's hat on and break this match down for us. Where do you think this match will be won and lost? Because we all know that Kevin Anderson has this great booming serve. He's got 114 aces in the US Open till now compared to 28 from Nadal as well. But he has dropped sets in this tournament as well. He started off pretty solid, but then all the matches after that he has dropped sets. Where can he hurt Nadal? He needs to find something else in that arsenal to dent those Nadal ground strokes.
Well, if I was Kevin Anderson's coach, Diggy, the first thing I will tell him is the first thing he has to do is get a very high percentage of first serves in. You know, in that semi-final against Carreño Busta, for a set and a half, I thought Carreño Busta was a far better tennis player than Kevin Anderson was. But he found a way to come back, and he did that really well, which speaks volumes for the sort of confidence that he has right now. So first, I would say he needs to concentrate, get a lot of big first serves in. He has to keep that percentage very, very high. And secondly, he has to play a lot of balls to the Nadal backhand, because if you're going to play the balls to Nadal's forehand, you'll be in big trouble. So what I mean by that is he'll have to keep a lot of depth on his ground strokes, because if he's going to drop it a little short, then Nadal is going to run around and try and hit that forehand, which he does so incredibly well inside out and down the line. So he'll start dominating the rallies. So very important for Anderson, a lot of big first serves, high percentage first serves, #1, and #2, a lot of depth in his ground strokes to keep Nadal at the baseline and not inside the baseline. Because if you let Nadal inside the baseline, he's going to have you for dinner. With regards to Nadal, Dicky, sorry, let me finish this. Yeah. With regards to Nadal, the most important thing for Nadal is the fact is that he's serving a lot better. He's serving a lot better than he did probably right through the hard courts. And it's happening in the last couple of matches. Like he did the French. What I felt in the French was two things. One, his serve was so much better. And secondly, he was able to dominate some ground strokes from the backhand, which he never did before. He used to just get his backhand back into court and then try and look around to hit a big forehand. The backhand has become very solid. So if these two things hold up and he's able to dominate from these two sides, then of course Nadal will be the overwhelming favorite. to win this US Open final.
Yes, and Nadal also has the advantage that he's been at this stage so many times and he's always found a way to win even tricky matches. And I think, you know, you go back to Wimbledon where Federer played Cilic and Cilic was nervous. And we saw this morning as well in that Madison Keys, the way she collapsed as well. It's also about embracing the occasion, isn't it, Rico?
Yes, and this is a big occasion. And, you know, Kevin Anderson has never been there and done that. So we have to go and really see how Kevin Anderson is going to react to the situation. Because you really know what to really expect from Nadal. You really know that he's been there, he's played, like you said, 23 Grand Slam finals, which is an incredible record, Dicky. So he's been there, he knows the sort of pressure that is to play a Grand Slam final. And you know, at a match like this, you know, his form may drop by maybe 1 or 2 notches, but not beyond that. So it really depends on how Kevin Anderson plays. If he can play and raise his game and he can, like you say, embrace the situation and grab it with both hands, serve big, stay aggressive, play the game that he's comfortable doing, then you know anything can happen. So
yes,
that's how I look at this final. And it's a really interesting final. Trust me, I know Nadal is the overwhelming favorite. But if Anderson can play his shots and Nadal allows him to play those shots, we could have an interesting final.
Yes, let's not forget the US Open has a penchant for throwing up massive upsets. Just that Federer-Del Potro match in 2009. You also had Cilic and Nishikori a few years back as well. But also about Nadal, just as I'm about to close, it's also at the beginning of the year, Nadal had 14 slam titles. Federer had 17. Federer since then moved to 19. But Nadal has the opportunity to end with something like 16 Grand Slams and cut that lead back again. And then you actually have a sense of deja vu that Nadal and Federer once again dominating tennis. It's been that kind of a year.
Yes, and you know, I'm a big Nadal-Federer fan, so I have no problem with that. I think they are the two of the greatest champions that have ever played this game. They're great champions and they're such amazing ambassadors for our sport. So very, very proud that I actually can sit and watch them play on television or live.
Okay. Enrico Piperno, thank you so much for joining us from Kolkata on this Sunday to set up this big, big match. I hope all of us can stay awake to watch this match as well. Rafael Nadal versus Kevin Anderson.